Have dismissed newspaper reports over an alleged bust-up between manager Roy Keane and defender Damien Delaney. The player described them as total rubbish on the club's official website.
Despite the pressure growing on Keane, members of the first-team squad took time out today to visit those who'll spend Christmas away from home because of illness. Donovan Blake reports.
Smiles have been in short supply among Ipswich Town's players in recent weeks.
You always buy season tickets every year.
But it wasn't difficult for skipper David Norris and some of his teammates to offer some during this afternoon's Christmas visit. The day patients at St Elizabeth's Hospice in Ipswich were certainly pleased to see them.
This is a humbling experience and it puts things into perspective, so I think it's a good experience for us to come down and meet these people.
What sort of stories were they giving you? Was it about just their own experiences or trying to empathise with your experiences at the moment?
They weren't shy in giving us a few pointers in the right direction, but they gave us some good banter and they were talking about their own lives and their own families, and most of them have kids who are Ipswich Town fans as well.
After their terrible run of results and now reports of unrest, it makes you wonder whether the club was tempted to postpone the scheduled visits in Ipswich, Bury St Edmunds and Colchester this week to keep the players out of the firing line. But they've gone ahead. Mind you, they've yet to discover whether the mood of their manager has lifted since reaching a new low on Saturday at Preston.
No, I haven't seen the manager since the game. We was only in today for training this morning, and we're doing this afternoon. Obviously, I think the manager was especially disappointed after the weekend. I think it was a good chance for us to turn it around, and we haven't done that, And so at the moment, it's tough for everybody.
They were warmly received today, but the atmosphere at Portman Road will be anything but if Ipswich don't end their losing sequence on Saturday. Donovan Blake, Anglia News, Ipswich.
And they might want to watch this next report. If you're looking for some joy in these dark and depressing days, then here's something that's guaranteed to lift the spirits.
Yes, a record number of grey seal pups have been born on the East Norfolk coast. Our own grey, that's Natalie of course, reports now on the sensational site. And I bet you can't watch this report without going, ah.
Get yourself comfortable. Try to block out the noise of the wind and listen to the call of the wild. It's a winter wonder. 2/3 of a mile of beach littered with seals. It's the largest colony ever seen on this stretch of Norfolk's east coast.
It's very good. It's our best year yet with these seals. I think there must be nearly 1,000 animals here.
And a record number of pups. Last count is 394. That's already 100 more than last year, with more babies to come. This one is just a week or so old.
It's a good indicator that obviously that there's plenty for them to eat out there, which is promising from the point of view of the sea as a whole. But I don't know, maybe they just like it here.
The pups are white, the females light browny grey, and the males dark grey.
There is patches of beach that are held as territories by the males. Within each territory there's a number of females who have given birth to their young. They're suckling the young for about 2 weeks. They treble the weight in that 2 to 3 weeks because of the milk they're eating, which is just over 50% fat, so it's not exactly skimmed milk. And then they'll sit on the beach for probably another 3 weeks growing their waterproof coats because they're not waterproof when they're born, and then they're out to sea and off on their own.
And how about this for a fascinating fact? The Latin name for the grey seal is long-nosed pig of the sea, which we think is rather unflattering because we think they look more like dogs. But while the grey seals are flourishing, common seals in Norfolk are diminishing.
They never really recovered from the distemper virus that decimated the population a few years ago, but it's not clear why they haven't recovered so well, whereas the greys have. But there's certainly cause for concern over them.
This is private land. Onlookers are welcome as long as they leave dogs behind and watch only from the dunes. The greys are on a roll, their future sealed for the next generation. Natalie Gray, Anglia News on Norfolk's east coast.
I don't know how many R's there were at your home, but I counted at least 7 or 8 here in the studio.
I think they might need all that blubber at the end of this week.
They will, because forecasters saying there's more snow on the way later in the week.
So does this mean we're going to have a white Christmas? Rachel, the pressure's on. What do you think?
Well, it is a bit soon to be forecasting for Christmas, but there is certainly more wintry weather on the way this week. From this Thursday, we've got some blustery northerly winds introducing very cold Arctic air into the UK and indeed our region, and that's making for some very cold temperatures and, of course, further wintry showers. And that means this weekend, well, there is a Met Office weather warning out about the risk of snow and ice, making for some treacherous driving conditions, so do take care if you're travelling. Well, so that means really a very wintry weekend, but what's the rest of the weather looking like? Let's take a look at the details.
Without